Most people believe that the biggest barriers to reaching their goals are a problem of procrastination or a problem with being lazy. But what if I told you that you're not a procrastinator and you're not lazy? The real reason you're not taking action is because you're scared and afraid. I'm Salim, I've done an undergrad and postgraduate degree, and now I'm a med student. And over the years, I've seen how much of an impact the feeling of fear has had in holding people back from making progress. But from personal experience, I know how overcoming fear can push you in the right direction to reach your goals. So I'll go through a 4-part strategy called the STEP method. This method involves both understanding your problems and actionable steps to help you make progress towards your goals, with the second last step being especially useful for high achievers. So the first step is to understand that a lot of your problems related to procrastination, discipline, or motivation is likely caused by one thing, and that's your fear of failure. This fear causes you to procrastinate or not feel motivated because you start focusing on problems that don't even exist. For example, maybe you wanted to work on your physical health, but then you started worrying about what equipment you'd need or the price of a gym membership, so you never even got to start working out. Or maybe you're a student wanting to get an A+, but this goal gives you anxiety, so you start worrying about all the content you need to cover, whether you have enough time to go through them, and which resources to use. This fear of feeling as though you can't fully prepare makes you think that it's not going to work out, so you procrastinate instead of just getting on with studying. And if this sounds like a problem you have, the solution to this is to reframe fear. You must have experienced a situation where you just had an exam and you kept worrying that you failed and focused on all of the mistakes you've made. But then there was this one guy who finished the exam and looked relieved and excited and talked about how they finally have freedom now that exams are over. This fear you have and the excitement they have are on different ends of the same scale, and being able to shift from the side of fear to the side of excitement is going to give you the power to get things done. And the rest of the video covers the actionable advice to help you do exactly this. So to start, a big problem that keeps people in the wrong end of the scale is that we're taught that the more we get done, the more productive we are. But trying to do too much feeds into this fear because you feel as though you can't finish everything, so it becomes too much for you to handle, and that stops you from doing anything. So after reframing fear, the second step is to create clarity, and there's a few ways to do this. The first is to create a brain dump. Give yourself only 3 minutes to list down everything you can think of that you need or want to get done. This gives you clarity because the time pressure makes you think of the most important things first and organizes your mind so that the smaller tasks won't inflate how much you actually have to get done. Because 5 small chores can feel like a lot in your mind, even if it only takes 10 minutes. The second thing is to then prioritize the top 3 things that you need to do. You can do this by figuring out what things are time sensitive, what's something you can get done later on in the day or week, and what's not as important. For example, I might write down going to the gym, practicing the piano, recording my next video, and responding to emails. Recording is time sensitive since I need to then edit before my weekly upload day. Gym can wait until later on in the day, same for piano, and responding to emails can always wait a few days. The final thing to create clarity is to pick out anything in your list that you have a resistance to doing. This resistance is caused by a fear of something, so understand the cause by writing down why you don't want to do it and break it down into manageable chunks. For example, I remember when I avoided neurology because it was difficult, so I broke it down into different topics, started with the fundamentals, and watched videos to learn more, and that made me confident in the topic before I moved on to the next. And now for the next point, I have a scenario for you. Imagine a class with 30 students, and they're split into 2 groups of 15. One group is told to draw a single picture at the end of 30 days, where they aim to make that one picture as perfect as possible, and the other group is told to draw one picture each day and start from scratch the next day. Which group on average do you think had the better drawings on the last day? The ones that did one each day did better, not the group aiming for perfection. And that's because they could focus on different things each day, whether that's spending a day on learning about shading, another on outlines, or another on colors. It all helped them focus on the smaller details that makes the bigger picture. So in a similar way, what you should do is focus on input. Instead of trying to be a perfectionist, allow yourself to be bad at the start and experiment, because you learn from your mistakes more than your successes, and what you learn will compound your results over time. A lot of high achievers do the opposite and call themselves perfectionists, but this creates a problem where if they can't do something perfectly, they get a fear of even starting. And this isn't meant to be an attack, but when have you ever done anything important perfect? Because I know I haven't done anything perfect. When I play the piano, I make a load of mistakes, but I learn from them so that I can improve my technique. Or when I do practice questions, I might get them wrong initially, but that gives me a direction for topics that I need to spend more time on. Know that this is the case with everyone at the top of their game, whether that's the best footballers, artists, or high achieving students. They make mistakes through regular input, and it's this quantity that gave them a direction to focus on, which led to the success they have now. And now for the next point, there's a very simple thing that top students do to overcome the fear of not being good enough or the fear of not making progress. And this simple thing makes it possible for them to consistently improve on what they're doing. And I'll explain by asking you a question. At the end of the day, how often do you think back on what you did throughout the day? It's fair to say that most people don't really reflect on how their day went, and because they don't do this, it very much becomes the out of sight, out of mind feeling, where people very easily forget and lose track of the content of their days. The classic scenario of this is when people say they'll start exercising tomorrow, but when tomorrow comes and goes, they don't look back on the day to think about why they didn't exercise or have any visual reminders of it. So now the fourth step is to visualize progress. And again, there's a few ways to do this, and I'll give an example at the end. The first is to write down in a few sentences what went well in your day and what didn't go well. Check whether you got through the top priorities you previously set for yourself, or even if you were able to do more. If you fell short, try to understand what went wrong and how you can change that for the next day. The second thing is to make this all easily visible for you every day so that you can visually track how consistent you are. For example, over the past few months, it didn't feel as though I've made much progress on my physique, even though I've been eating well and training hard. But every day I've been keeping track of the weights I'm lifting, reflecting on the intensity of each workout and how often I'm going to the gym. And doing this, I noticed that even though I couldn't see physical changes, I saw that I was gradually lifting heavier weights, but that I could up the intensity a bit more. Reflecting on and tracking progress is especially important when the results are far in the future, because it visualizes the small steps of progress you are making and helps you stay consistent as you tick them off daily. I have free templates for these on Notion, so definitely check them out. But another problem is that even after you overcome your fears and start taking action, you might feel as though you're behind in life and have a lot of catching up to do, especially when you see so many successful people on social media. And that can make it difficult for you to see any point in what you're doing when someone your age is 10 times as successful as you are. So in this video here, I talk about how I overcame feeling behind in life to get to where I am today, and you can learn more about this by watching the video.